Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Legislator Ellen Birnbaum, the Nassau County Legislator for the 10th District, and I'm joined here today by Kevon Abrams, the Minority Legislative Leader, along with many other legislators in the caucus, and elected officials, union leaders, community leaders, citizens wanting to see the 6th precinct fully restored and operational. I wrote a letter last month to County Executive Mangano, and I implored him that now is the time to reopen the 6th precinct. We had a rally 2 months ago, which was attended by many of the same people, and we all strongly believe, as we spoke then, that Nassau County must reopen the 6th precinct as a fully operational precinct. It is vital to provide the public with the proper police services that they deserve and which they pay very high taxes. These important services include detective squads, plainclothes officers, dedicated BTL enforcement units. And we need a safe police precinct building where the police can proudly work and residents will be welcome to enter. Adding insult to injury, not only has the community had to endure the loss of the precinct, but it must stand by and watch as the precinct house itself deteriorates and falls into disrepair. The physical building is in a state of neglect. The exterior lights on the poles do not work, and at night, when driving past it on Community Drive, it is impossible to even discern that there is a police facility there. The cement path to the building is missing a slab, and inside the building there are numerous problems: dirty carpets, broken tiles, mold, and poor ventilation. It's not a suitable building for our hard-working police, auxiliary police, and civilian members to call their home, nor for members of our community to safely come and visit. In short, this building that was designed to promote law and order and public safety is threatening to become a blight on the community, and it's a hazard to public health. The first step to reopening the 6th precinct must be to restore and properly maintain the 6th precinct building. Local residents were adamantly opposed to the merger of the 6th and 3rd precinct in 2012, and are certainly not pleased by the results. By eliminating supervisory positions and forcing the community to rely on the distant 3rd precinct, the situation is unsatisfactory to both the police themselves and, more importantly, to the people they serve. The 3rd precinct now covers a population much greater than many local police precincts around the country. The ability of the police to maintain public safety is necessarily diminished by these conditions. I am asking our county executive and acting officer Crumpter to take immediate steps to restore the 6th precinct as a fully staffed and operational precinct. Let's make it a proud place for our police force to work. The citizens of Nassau County will be much better served and will be grateful to see the return of the 6th precinct. The 5th precinct was reopened after it was determined that the consolidation plan was not a successful one. It's time to reverse the merger of the 6th and 3rd precincts. Thank you. And now I invite Kevon Abrams to say some words to you.
Thank you, Ellen. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I think I'm going to keep my comments sweet and short. I just want to basically emphasize that the entire caucus is in support of Legislator Birnbaum. When the police precinct closures came about, we were steadfast in our position that it was an ill-advised approach to addressing, number one, public safety, but number two, cost savings in the police department. We truly believe that both of those things, in terms of the public safety, and we have not achieved any savings in this particular measure, have been compromised. So from our position, it has not accomplished what it was set out to do. And our opponents will say, yes, it doesn't compromise public safety because the cars are still there. But I'll tell you what, if I'm a criminal and I realize that we're cutting corners and basically not allowing a precinct to be open, then what other corners are we doing to hurt our Nassau County Police Department from doing their job on an everyday basis. What other corners are we cutting that's going to jeopardize public safety? This is wrong. The taxpayers, not just of Great Neck and the folks that live up in the 6th precinct, but the entire county should feel comfortable and be able to visit any part of the county and not be worried about public safety being jeopardized. And quite frankly, the measure that this was going to save money, this has cost us more money than it ever did before. So the measure is not accomplishing what it set out to do. We're going to stay with Legislator Birnbaum, the residents, obviously, of the 6th precinct, to make sure that we reopen this building in a manner that's expeditiously and quick to this matter. So thank you again, Legislator Birnbaum.
Thank you. And now we will hear from the Town of North Hempstead Supervisor, Judy Bosworth.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm so proud to be here because we're fighting for a great cause. I just want to mention that we have some of our Town of North Hempstead officials with us here today as well. To my left, I have Councilwoman Lee Seaman. To my right, Councilwoman Anna Kaplan, and our Town Clerk, Wayne Wink. All of who are here because we want to make sure that the 6th precinct is reopened. It's interesting because Wayne and I were legislators when this merger was first proposed. We stood up against it then, and we're standing up against it now. But I kind of digress. So I want to thank you all for being here. It's a very important day, and most of all, I'd like to thank Legislator Birnbaum for organizing this rally here today, because it gives us the opportunity to stand unified with one goal in mind: preserving the public safety in the town of North Hempstead and throughout Nassau County. Shortly, I'll be addressing the legislature, and I'll be reiterating the concerns that I expressed when I was a legislator, and that was about the decreased police presence in our communities. And we'll touch on many of the issues that you have heard about already. The failure of this merger to save taxpayer money as promised. It was going to save $20 million for the merger of all, so $5 million with the merger of the 6th and the 3rd. We've heard about the huge amounts of overtime that is beyond what was budgeted for. Much of that can be attributed directly to this merger. The size of the combined precinct is just way too large to adequately serve our community. The 3rd precinct now goes from Manor Haven and Port Washington, goes all through the town of North Hempstead, goes down Old Country Road, goes past Nassau University Medical Center, and includes Roosevelt Field. Way too large a district for one precinct to be following. And even the fact that the community policing center that was supposed to be there as the 6th precinct was closed, you know what? That's not a community center that I'd like to go into. It's run down, it appears unsafe. We deserve better. So, as many of you know, I was on the Nassau County Legislature in 2012 when this merger was proposed. I, along with Wayne, along with Kavan, along with Delia, along with all the Democratic legislators were there, absolutely expressed concerns about the dangers of this happening, and unfortunately, that has come to fruition. I wish I was wrong, and that the merger was a success, and we gave it every chance. But we don't have to stand here today in trepidation regarding our diminished public safety in Nassau County. But the facts are, we are not as safe a community as we were 4 years ago. Not because our police officers aren't doing a great job, because they are, but because the resources are just spread too thin. And that's why it's so critical that we band together as a community to reverse this merger. Our residents, our community groups, and we have a number of them here today, and our elected officials need to work together in order to get this done. And so one of those elected officials, our Councilman Peter Zuckerman, who's just joined us. Commissioner Crumpter and County Executive Mangano have bristled at the idea that the merger was the wrong move. It's our job to wake them up and make them realize that all of us, the taxpayers of Nassau County, will not accept this level of police service. We want and deserve far more than this. We as a community need to unite to make sure that our public safety is preserved, that the residents of our community feel that they have a police precinct that is serving them, and that their homes and their families are safe. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Sue Oriama, a community leader.
Hi, my name is Sue Oriema, and I'm here today representing the Council of Greater Manhasset Civic Associations and the surrounding communities. We have leaders from our Shorehaven Civic and our Plandome Heights Civic Association, along with residents who share my concerns. Today, I'm going to be presenting a Care2 online petition that has 1,600 local signatures, residents who are saying loud and clear, this is not acceptable to us. To give you a frame of reference, I was here 4 years ago, and I presented a petition to the legislature, when Judy was my legislator at the time, that had 5,200 signatures, representing 8 precincts. So just one precinct now has 1,600 signatures, in addition to written petitions that Judy and her team will be presenting today, totaling about 2,000 people who are speaking up and saying, this is not acceptable. The money savings has not been demonstrated, and we're told over and over again, crime is down, major crime is down. Well, that's not the only measure of policing, and that's not the only function of police. Quality of life issues remain, vehicle and traffic law enforcement are not being addressed on a regular basis, and residents are concerned. When this merger was proposed, it was well known that Detroit, granted a very different location than Nassau County, Detroit had merged their 12 precincts into 6. And we knew when this was being proposed in our area that it was determined after about 4 years that it was not a successful merger. And they then reinstated all 12 precincts back to their original status. This is what needs to happen here. This has not been a successful project. The cost savings has not been realized. Residents do not feel safe, and we need our precinct back now. Thank you. My last name is spelled A-U-R-I-E-M-M-A. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Next, we'll hear from James Carver, Nassau PBA President.
Good afternoon, everybody. A few months ago, we were up at the 6th precinct, and everybody saw the condition of the precinct, and we should actually have a press conference there every day, because I think that's the only way that place is going to be repaired. Having said that, we've been advocating for the return of the 6th precinct, but I got to take a line out of the commissioner's statement for Newsday yesterday when he talks about jelly beans. So everybody loves props. So when we closed 4 precincts, we had this many jelly beans. When we reopened the 5th, we had this many jelly beans. We're almost there. We opened the 6th. That's the bottom line. First of all, police officers aren't jelly beans. We do work out there every single day, but I understand the analogy of what he meant. The bottom line is this, is when they closed the precincts, there were not enough police officers to man it. That was their position. We now have 180 police officers graduating at the end of May. It's time to reopen, just like they reopened the 5th. And remember, they never closed the 1st. So it's time to start reopening these places. We talk about the conditions of that day. If you remember, there was a brand new flag that was put out there. There was a building was power washed. They did a lot of stuff. We complained about a lot of stuff, and you figure from that point on, they would have, at least fixed some of the stuff. In the front, and I have my guy display the stuff here. The front, the sidewalk is still unrepaired. Now this is an access for handicap people that come into the station house. This is the only access for the public and the only access for anybody with handicap disabilities. This is, again, disgraceful. Let's go into slide 2 here. The floor in the precinct. This is what it's like coming to work, and you walk down the hallway, and this is the floor in the precinct. Again, disgraceful. Go to number 3. We'll be doing this later on too, so number 4. The desk, as everybody walks in the station house, you see the desk, and the men and women sit beneath the ceiling. This is what the ceiling looks. There's debris that's falling on their head, the air quality, horrible conditions. The people sneezing, coughing up stuff. Again, no way to run a precinct. Next. Oh, urinals. This is great. 6 months this has been like this for. 6 months. In your house, you wouldn't do that, right? But 6th precinct house, that's what they do. Neglect continues. Go ahead with the next one. Look at this, right in front, the communications tower that's out in front. Look at all the wires exposed. To anybody to be able to go up there and clip it if they wanted to clip the wires or do some damage to there. People have walked by the 6th precinct station house. It's not well lit. It's There's only 2 police officers in there. What happens? All the wires are exposed for somebody to come in there and do damage. In this time of terrorism and public safety being on everybody's mind, is this a place? Is this the way to let a communications tower remain? And this just doesn't happen yesterday. If you remember when you had the press conference the last time, it was like that too. Go to the next one. And again, this just reiterates the ceiling, the tiles in the station house. I'll show you. There's another example of what's going on up there. Right? Doing a great job, Pat. Everybody doing a good job. Everybody happy with that? Yeah. Look at this, like round white. What's this one here? All right. Again, above the sorting machines. This again, the ceiling. You can see the leakage and everything else like that in there. That's again, that's the way they have taken care of the situation. Go ahead. This is the back walkway to the station house, correct?
Yes.
And what's I tell you what, one thing that aside, but they're consistent because they don't like sidewalks up to go to the building. I guess they want to prevent people from walking in or getting in there somehow. But again, this concrete needs to be repaired. Somebody could trip, somebody could fall in there, and we can sue the county. That was the last one. Guys, again, this is something they can't get to repair something. In the ceiling, they took the tile down. Now, most people would throw that away, right? I mean, you wouldn't keep something like that in your house, would you? No, we keep it there so everybody can see how disgusting the place really is. So that thing is still sitting in the station house after how many months? About 6 months, a year? At least a year. So again, just something that's mold, just let's sit there. Again, we talked about this before. This is a, you talk about the 6th precinct, the area covers the many villages that it covers, and you do it with you combine it with the 3rd precinct. The resources that used to go solely for 6th precinct residents are now being shared with the 3rd. That's just not right. 6th precinct residents are due their fair share. We open the 6th precinct. Thank you very much. Thank you. You did a great job.
And now we'll hear from Brian Hessel, the Superior Officers President.
Good afternoon. I'd like to just spend 1 minute addressing what the Superior Officers Association objects to most strenuously against the consolidation. The problem with the consolidation is this. You've created a mega precinct and you've put one man in charge of it. The new 6th and 3rd combined precinct covers the entire town of North Hempstead. It's approximately 250,000 people. It's the size of a small city. And yet you only have one person to run the whole thing. If you look at any city in the United States, and there's plenty of cities of 250,000 people, I am sure that you will not find any of them where they only have one police facility. It's just too big an area to cover. We used to have in each individual precinct 3 administrative people. We had an inspector, a deputy inspector, and a captain. Some years ago, they did away with the captain, and we had only 2 people in each precinct. Now what they've done is they cut it down to you have 3 people to supervise this one huge precinct. And the problem with the 3rd, 6th combination is the 3rd precinct was the busiest precinct in the county. It was a big precinct to begin with, and it became a mega precinct now. So the people up in the North Shore of Nassau County, probably some of the more affluent people in this county that pay probably the highest taxes, are really getting shortchanged because the 3rd precinct is like a black hole. It sucks most of their resources into that precinct, and the COs cannot spend the amount of time they can to service the North Shore communities. When you think about consolidation as itself, I know Judy had mentioned that the Detroit Police Department had recently tried an experiment where they tried to consolidate precincts, which didn't work out too well. But let's go to our area. Let's go to the metropolitan New York area. If you look at Suffolk County Police Department, which is approximately the same size as Nassau counties, and even though they only cover 5 of the 10 towns with police services, about 10 to 15 years ago, they added a new precinct. They created the 7th precinct out in Suffolk County. New York City Police Department, again, just to our west because of increases in populations, just added a new precinct in Queens. They opened a new precinct. What does Nassau County do? Even though our population has increased 2% in the last 5 years, we're decreasing the amount of precincts we have here. It makes no sense. The people in the North Shore of Nassau County, in my opinion, are getting shortchanged. And, you know, it's one thing to pay high taxes, but when you pay high taxes and you're not getting the services you think you deserve, that's a real disgrace, and I think it has to change. Thank you.
We call upon Glenn Saccone, President of the Detectives Association.
Good afternoon. I'm Glenn Saccone, President of the Nassau Detectives. We talked about the precinct closure. 4 years ago, we all were adamantly against the closing of the precincts. This administration talks about the cost savings. That's a very, very difficult line to prove. I represent the detectives that cover both precincts. You have the 6th precinct, which is widely spread out. It's a large geographical area. Then you have the 3rd precinct, which is a congested area, which includes for detectives the town of Hempstead, which is extremely busy for the detectives in the 3rd squad. So let's look at this. You have the 3rd squad detectives housed in Williston Park, but they have to both cover all of the 3rd precinct, Roosevelt Field, Hempstead, and then travel up all the way up to Manor Haven, Great Neck, Sands Point. Just geographically, if a detective is at the medical center and he gets called for a crime that just occurred, they need a detective right away. For him to go to the medical center and now head up to Sands Point, one of those extreme areas, distance-wise, we're talking a 45-minute drive. Now on a regular day, just a regular day where a detective housed in Williston Park has to go interview somebody, or maybe just pick up a piece of evidence, or maybe just grab a statement, and has to drive up to one of those towns up there, Great Neck, Port Washington, just the distance that it takes and the hours that it takes, that is downtime, that is not being productive. So when we talk about cost savings, this administration hasn't calculated all the time wasted. Picture yourself in a restaurant, and you have a restaurant, a busy restaurant, you have 6 waitresses and their wait staff, and you have 6 wait staff working, and now, cost savings, we're going to cut those 6 wait staff down to 3. Yes, you're going to still have that busy restaurant, but people are not going to get the service that they deserve in that restaurant, and the people up in the North Shore are not getting the service that they deserve. We need to restore the 6th precinct. Thank you.
Many mayors and villages within this district have voiced their support, but unfortunately they weren't able to make it to the press conference in the middle of the day. But we do have one with us today, Mayor Bruce Kennedy of SEPA, who would like to say a few words.
Good afternoon. As has been said many times today, when they closed the 6th precinct, we were promised there was going to be savings and we were not going to see a decrease in police presence. And as mayor of a village, my main concern, we don't have huge crime rates, but we do have issues. And we need police on patrol at all times. In the past 4 years, every single year has gotten worse. The police do not have the resources to be patrolling the village. The bad guys know it. We have drug dealing going on in the streets. We have people disobeying VTL. They're blowing through stop signs. They're speeding through the village. And when the police are there, they're doing a great job. I love the police that are patrolling the village. But the problem is they aren't given the resources, we don't have the men, and we don't have the patrols. As a result, we have problems with quality of life issues, and we actually had a home invasion this weekend. And that's because the bad guys know. Now, we've spoken a lot about North Hempstead. The village of Seacliff is in the town of Oyster Bay. It's on the other side of that harbor. We need more police officers, we need more patrols, and we need to really support this effort to reopen the 6th. So thank you.
Legislator Steele Albino, who actually represents the district with the 3rd precinct in his house, would like to say a few words.
Good afternoon. So I echo the sentiments of many of the elected officials and union representatives who have mentioned earlier. You know, this is honestly a failed concept that has really put the life and safety of all of our residents in jeopardy. You know, living within the 3rd precinct myself and representing the larger part of the 3rd precinct, I'll tell you that I'm left to wonder whether, the 3 different commercial crimes that we've had just at our 7-Eleven, our local 7-Eleven was robbed 3 times within the last 4 months. Whether if our resources weren't stretched as far as they are, whether we have already apprehended the suspect or even be that much closer to really solving this crime. So I think that it's time. It's been time for a long period of time that we come together, the administration, the county police department, and give our officers and our residents the resources that they so deserve. Thank you.
Legislator Delia Whitney.
I just want to mention, first of all, the 3rd precinct has done a great job. We appreciate their help, but there's something about a detective especially being familiar with the neighborhood and the community, which I think is what we're missing here also. Once you get to know that we had a home invasion, we had another issue a couple years ago with someone who was a local person who believed burglarizing local homes in Glenhead. We lacked that familiarity. We didn't have anyone who knew, the high school's here, this and that, and it takes that, and I think that's really what we've been missing without having our own precinct. And plus, we've also the inconvenience of just having to drive all the way down for simple reasons or answering the words and everything else, and it's a lot to our citizens. Thank you, Ellen.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Has there been tests to determine that it's actually mold? Because the county disputes that. They said it's just maybe dog box that there's no mold in the building.
Yeah, I can't speak to the actual examination of what took place in the building because I wasn't privy to that. I know there was somebody, I believe, from the Board of Health maybe who went in there to inspect, and I don't think the results have been issued. What they found about the air quality and the pictures speak for themselves of the condition.
Legislator, can you just respond to a spokesperson for the county executive said, quote, Legislator Birnbaum knows darn well that her partisan refusal to support the capital plan hinders the county's ability to make building improvements at the precinct and throughout your district.
Well, as you can see, there's maintenance issues that really have been the crux of the problem, and I don't think that fell under a capital plan. I've never seen a line item for their operating issues. So I haven't, I don't think one has anything to do with the other.
Right, but if you wanted fixes done to the precinct, they'd be funded through the capital plan, correct?
Operating expenses. Yeah, we don't borrow money to fix and maintain our buildings.
Just on that, when you're talking about every precinct, functional precinct, has a custodian assigned there full time. In the 6th precinct, they have a crew that comes by every once in a while. So it's not maintained every day. You have garbage that's put out. Every single day, there's garbage there that's being uncollected, it's being left in the building. So you talk about this, we do have somebody take a look at the air qualities and everything else in the place. The bottom line is when you repair something, you leave a tile from the ceiling sitting there. I mean, what's with that? You can't even finish the job. They're going there half-fast doing something, and they're running out of it. So it's disarray. It needs to be fixed. Capital plans don't do that.
The other thing is we were promised that when these precincts merged, that the 6th precinct would be held harmless, would be a community center, a community policing center. That has not happened. There were no detectives. All the resources that were promised that would be in that building are not there. And the fact that the building could be allowed to get into this state of disarray and still be touted as a community policing precinct, I don't get it. Our residents were promised that they would be able to come and make reports and do all the things that you would do at a police station, except we would be calling it a community center. It's not much of a community center.
So our residents aren't permitted to come into that building?
They're permitted to, but if they do come, they come under very difficult circumstances. You see, you saw all the pictures of of concrete being broken, of lights not being on, of lights not even being on in the precinct while it's operating. When people come, they have very, very long waits. Sue Ariema actually had told a story about what had occurred when she and a friend went to report an accident, and they were told, well, you'll have to wait way too long, why don't you go home? And someone will come to your house. And what was it, about a half hour later?
Right.
Someone did come to her house, but that meant that police officer was not on patrol, he was at her house taking a report. That's not how it was supposed to work.
I just want to add that the conditions in the building didn't just happen. It wasn't anything that happened this year or last year. It's been an ongoing state of deterioration for many years.
The police department has said it would either cost $5 million to reopen the precinct or take patrol officers off the streets and reassign them to administrative duties. What do you make of that response? And I guess if it would cost $5 million, where would that money possibly come from?
Well, when the 5th precinct opened, that was not addressed at all. It didn't cost anything to reopen the 5th precinct. And right now, the county has hired many new recruits, and I've been told that there is staff available who could go back to that precinct building, supervisory staff.
And I'm thinking the $5 million would come from the $5 million that was supposed to be saved by closing it.
The police department on Friday, sort of took numbers from the old 6th precinct from crime statistics and said that crime is down 4% in the area that was formerly the 6th precinct. So they're saying there's no correlation between closing the precinct and crime numbers. Do you guys see it differently?
Statistics can be used in many ways, and the residents of that area believe there has been a spike in crime, and there are numbers that show that burglaries and residential robberies have been taking place in great numbers than before. There is a perception that crime has increased.
This issue about crime statistics, they're not accurate. It's a very simple fact that when you have drug dealing on a corner, when you have drug dealing going on down on the beach, you're witnessing it's occurring, you know it's real. You have people out of speeding through the village, you have people blowing through stop signs in front of schools. These don't go into crime statistics, but these are crimes that are being committed. Our quality of life is being affected, and our safety is being affected.
Bruce,
so the statistics are not going to address this. Bruce Kennedy, Board of Safety. Thank you.
And I've heard many mayors echo exactly what Mayor Kennedy has been saying.
The other thing also is that when you have fewer detectives servicing our area, very possibly you have fewer people enforcing the law, and that could also account for lower statistics.
The police department recently brought back the problem-oriented police program and started another one called community-oriented police enforcement. Do you think those don't go far enough to address
There's two. So originally there were 4 cop officers in the 6th precinct. We were promised there would be 2. We had none for how many years? So recently, because we have had these rallies, 2 were reinstated, and now there's this other committee. What has happened over the past 4 years? Our services have gone down. 4 years ago, we had 4 cops. We had a detail officer. We had undercover police. We had detectives. We don't have that anymore. We need it.
So just to let everyone know, at 1 o'clock, we're going to have a open participation. Supervisor Bosworth will be sharing some words. So we encourage press to actually head inside. And we do have to wrap it up because that does happen at 1 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you.